Howdy. I'm wearing my flannel like a farm boy. I'm one of those big idiots that moves the rocks in the fields and speaks in only three-word sentences. Regardless, I have something that I want to talk about today. Something that's really important to me. Something that's kind of powerful in my life that I think has been driving me nuts, driving me very mad and crazy and all this stuff. And it involves basically the idea of family and trying to get through to them in a certain way that can give you the thing that you think that whole family needs. Trying to make the dynamic of your family better through a passion and fire that you have, trying to assert your needs and views and opinions on people so that they act in accordance with what you think is good. Noble intentions, but sometimes those noble intentions, they become harmful with the application, the delivery of those intentions and how you go about treating situations. And for me, I've learned some interpersonal effectiveness skills in my mental health time. One of them specifically being called Dear Man, which is from dialectal behavioral therapy. And it's basically just speaking from your point of view, having respect for someone, making sure that you don't accuse them or cause this like resenting nature to unfold within the discussion or argument, making sure that you address people in a way that's courteous, respectful, kind, loving, and all those things, while not being too lenient and not allowing yourself to be stomped on, keeping your needs in check, making sure that you hold on to them and not falling from that. And I think it's been very useful. In fact, it's probably been the most useful tactic, the most useful skill that I've had in this entire time of doing mental health, with people at least. And I think it correlates very well to many parts of the Bible, because I am a Christian man. And for example, like the book of Job is something that me and my Bible study group are doing together. We're reading it and we're going through it, and I can see that same issue. Sorry, I got a little bit of spit on the thing. That same issue that that I just talked about comes up in the book of Job a lot. People being more, I guess, prideful in their view of what is right and trying to do a good thing, help their friend, but they're doing it in a negative way by accusing them of doing something wrong and saying, you've done this wrong thing to God. You got to turn around and do better, You're being punished because you're doing bad. And we don't know why, but, we think it's so listen to us. And Job, the one being told this stuff after having his life taken away basically and everything he loved stripped away from him, disapproves of this and he doesn't respond positively to it. Although these people in that book are trying to, give him advice in this noble way, it feels basically like a punch to the gut each time. It doesn't feel like they're actually helping, and they're really not, because there's no progress being made on the issue that he's going through. So that relates to that dear man skill. Instead of understanding the emotions and the needs and all the things that person who you want to tell to do a certain thing, instead of understanding those, you seem to understand your main view, your perception of an issue first. And if you only do that, you'll go in and you'll cause this sort of harm from accusing or from insulting or having this hatred in the way that you speak. And people don't respond to that. They don't. That's how I viewed it. In my life, I've done that many times, and I keep making that mistake in the most emotional moments of my life. Those emotional moments, they're natural. They happen. I want what's best for my family. I want the best things for all people in my life. But sometimes the view you have of what is best, whether it is good or not, you don't enforce it in the best way. In fact, you enforcing it is the problem in a way. You want to be able to assert your view and make it so things can turn out in a good way for everyone. But for me in my life, sometimes those needs that I have and my pride and glory that I think I have to do the right thing makes me do the wrong thing. And that happens plenty times in the Bible, especially in the gospel, with the Pharisees and all those guys, the guys that have the money and all that stuff, and the power and the fame, other people like that. It's hard. People have noble intentions, and they want what's best for people in their own way. But sometimes it's not best. Sometimes it harms. And I'm dealing with that in my life a lot, I think, with family mainly. And sometimes it's important to know that the way you think is best is just your way. That is the objective truth. It is your way. And you have the right to feel like it's your way, and that your way has validity, and that you have a right to your way. But just like you have a right to your way, love your neighbor as yourself. They have a right to their way. So that is an important thing. And we all know that rationally. But sometimes our emotion, our passion, the passion that comes alongside a fire that burns hot and eventually gets released from your mouth in the form of words, that can touch the heart in a very painful way of another person who also has their rights, who has their needs, you know? Even if they're making mistakes, very harmful mistakes, those things are important to let unfold while nudging them in a good supportive direction in a way that they consent to. It's tough though. I deal with it all the time, you know? In my growth and development, I sometimes think I know best. We all do in that moment. You know, when we start to grow and become better, you think that your pride and ego is the truth. You think that all the things that you believe are a matter of fact. And they might be. They might be. Who knows? But we don't know these things. Because in a specific context, in any situation, there is a new set of circumstances. And those circumstances might not align in the way that makes it, applicable to whatever you think you should do. Sometimes you need to tweak a little bit. You need to find an adjustment. And sometimes you just need to lay your pride down and lay your passion down maybe too, and hold there at least in a nice, comfy place where you don't blow up, where you don't accuse someone of doing something bad, where you don't feel like all the things in the world are crashing down in one moment and you become fearful and say, do it my way, or else you're doing it the wrong way. It's so hard, it's important to know though. Just have faith that these things that happen, they're truly for a purpose. I know as corny and cliche as that sounds, understand that a person's mistakes, when given a correct recovery through support, can turn into the biggest triumphs. Understand that. I've done it myself. If you saw my first video, with my face on it, my mug, you can see that theme of my life, that all of the biggest mistakes were flipped on their head and I turned them into something. It's really important to let someone find those mistakes and let them go through them. But don't be indifferent, Just understand the gospel or whatever mental health thing you go through that tells you that your values must align with what is good for people, but that you also don't always know what's good for people. Just trust your gut and your faith that things can turn out well, and that recovery effort that will come for that person, if they stick around, if you stick around them, can be something that you can shine in, and you can put all your good stuff into their basket, weave it yourself even, and you'll be a supporter, and they'll love you for that, and you'll stay true if you're a Christian to your faith in that process by loving your neighbor as yourself, because I know each one of us would want that to be the case for us. We don't want to be stomped on in order to be helped. We want to be treated equally and given freedom. God gave us free will for a reason. Let's go find whatever we can to use that gift properly. And never allow anyone to snuff it away from us, to not persecute us. And we can't put that on someone else.